Again, thanks so much for joining us. Matt Wassink, manage our Sage channel here at SPS Commerce. It's great to have you with us today. And I think we just maybe had a little bit of a problem with the screen going to a strange color. So I'm going to stop share for 1 second and just exit out and work on that. Give me 1 second. Appreciate your patience. Not sure if that strange color was on your end or just my end, but anyway, it looks like we're okay now. Again, appreciate you taking the time to join us. Obviously, SPS Commerce, if you're in the session, it's probably because you have some sense of who we are. Historically, we have been the industry leader in EDI. And what that means is we really provide a solution, an opportunity to come alongside customers and help them in the fulfillment of their order process and really the automation of that order to cash process. One of the things that we see historically as we work with customers is that there's a lot of complexity to how they're trying to manage their own order to cash process. And it's really important for them not just to have a solution that works for them where they currently are, but something that's capable of scaling with them as they grow. And really, we see customers in that kind of fulfillment order to cash journey in one of these 4 buckets. If you move left to right, it's really an increasing level of complexity. There are a lot of times that we are working with vendors who are getting set up with their first EDI trading partner. So it goes from that moment of great excitement, hey, we just got into Target, we just got into Walmart, and suddenly then we realize, hey, now we have to be EDI compliant. And at this point, the customer might know how to spell EDI, and that's about the extent of their expertise. We're able to come alongside customers there with a very compliant-driven solution that allows them to get compliant with that trading partner, but it's in an economical way that allows them to really get a sense of how much volume and growth is there going to be. The key for SPS is providing that scalable solution so that as you grow your business with that first trading partner, we can grow with you. Oftentimes, best case scenario, what that means is down the road, you're now adding multiple EDI trading partners. And so you're working with Target and Walmart and Best Buy, et cetera. And with those additional trading partners comes additional complexity. Each trading partner in that space has their own requirements, their own documents they're asking you to manage. And so the ability to actually fulfill those orders becomes more tangled as that complexity grows. SPS provides you the opportunity to have a standardized workflow, regardless of the number of trading partners that you're working with. And then even as those supply chain complexities increase, maybe it's now working with a 3PL and you're outsourcing the logistics and warehousing of your product, or the volume levels have gotten to a point where you now want to integrate them into your Sage system. And so you want to work through taking your existing EDI setup, maybe with SPS, maybe across multiple providers, and pulling that into your system of record, or you're looking at a total system replacement. And so that's kind of the point where you're coming alongside that system replacement and asking the question, do we want to consolidate EDI at the same time just to continue streamlining it? The major call here is SPS really prides ourselves on being able to come alongside you wherever you are in that journey, wherever your level of complexity currently sits, and helping you to find the solution that not just works for you today, but that can grow with you wherever you're going to be, not just now, but in a year or 2 down the road. Part of the piece with that level of complexity is recognizing, obviously, in our current state of even still within the pandemic, there have been significant shifts in customer buying habits. Historically, SPS has really been the industry leader in that right-hand side wholesale EDI orders. Anticipating this several years ago, we began to build out our ability to connect to and automate both e-commerce and marketplace orders as well. This became a huge asset for our customer base because obviously in the last 24 months, there have been significant shifts in customer buying habits that have happened. And there's been a huge uptick in the number of consumers that are now buying via e-commerce and marketplaces for a while because they couldn't go to those brick and mortar stores. And now as those buying habits have changed, even while the world has begun to open back up, they've continued to leverage those. That's a huge opportunity for our customers, really twofold. First, for those customers who had existing e-commerce and marketplace setups, the Shopifys, Amazons, et cetera, of the world might have been more of a trickle 3 years ago. And suddenly the volume has increased and they've realized, hey, we want to automate those order processes into our system. For those customers who are leveraging SPS EDI integration currently into their Sage system, they can take that same software MapDoc and grab those marketplace and e-commerce orders. It's also a great asset for customers who are now realizing, as customer buying habits, as consumer buying habits have changed, they need to start getting into those marketplace and e-commerce setups. They can leverage SPS as a partner with a tried and true connection into those places to push their product to consumers in a new way, and still have the opportunity to automate it without adding extra complexity into how they manage that order to cash process. All that to say, the important piece there is to recognize SPS now offers the opportunity to automate not just wholesale EDI orders into your Sage system, but also your e-commerce, Shopify, Magento orders, as well as those Amazon, Target Plus, and Walmart marketplace orders. Thinking through this, it's really, SPS prides ourselves on really trying to be a partner to the customers we work with. And so trying to provide process and technology to drive smarter business. Historically, we've really helped customers in the automating of that order data, but we also offer products that help both with sales data and item data. Looking at the right-hand side, that sales data, this is the ability to have a product that we call analytics that allows you to capture sell-through product performance insights so that you can see how are our products moving in individual stores, right? So if you were using this, for instance, with like a Dick's Sporting Goods, you could see in different areas, different stores, different regions of the US, what of your product is selling where, selling well in which location. It allows you to be a little bit more nimble and anticipate inventory requirements, and gives you just better data to see how is our product moving on the shelves inside the stores where it's ending up. That sales data is called analytics, and it's been a really useful tool, an advanced metric for customers to stay cutting edge and anticipating consumer buying habits. The other component I think to call out there is that there is also something called item data, that if you are working with retailers of any kind, you are now having to send item data to them. It's the nature of working with retailers. This is product data, really, that's information like SKU, size, color, etc. The challenge has been historically, retailers, and I'll jump to the next screen here, retailers have no tried and true method for how they expect or collect this item data from their vendors. Some retailers require spreadsheets, others APIs, others require the EDI 832 document. The challenge for vendors is that, again, there's no streamlined way of doing this. It varies across retailer. There's timing differences. Some retailers require it monthly, some require it quarterly, sometimes multiple times a year, not to mention in different formats. Up until this point, there's never been a way to automate this process. And so someone in your organization is living this world of pain on a pretty consistent basis and probably thinking this is the only way that there is to operate. The great news is SPS now offers a first-in-class opportunity to automate how you send that product data to your retailers. You can set up a consistent method of supplying those product attributes to SPS in a single format, and then SPS automates that, does all the cross-referencing and translation, and then connects it to your buying organization in the method they prefer. Again, this product is called Assortment, and it's just another opportunity to find greater automation and remove more manual just efforts from your workflow. It really drives to the reality that for our customers, retailers find great trouble and difficulty as they work across getting good data from their vendors. There's all sorts of pieces and ways that they try to manage this. It's buying new technology. Sometimes they have to order excess inventory, managing constant process change, or adding staff. At the end of the day, though, the statistics show that 91% of retailers, and that is an accurate number, are not getting essential information from their suppliers. This does multiple things, right? This is why retailers are in the habit of applying chargebacks to their vendors, because when they get bad data, it slows down their ability to put product where it needs to be and sell that product. It can also cause a strain between vendor and retailer relationships. The desire of SPS is not just to help you automate that order to cash system, automate how you're interacting with those retailers, but to ensure that you're able to send good data to those retailers so you can improve those vendor scorecards. Not just eliminating chargebacks, but also improving your relationship so that when you're working with buyers at those retailers, because of the way that you leverage SPS, either in the automation of that order data EDI marketplace wholesale, right? Or the way that you're leveraging a product like Assortment, you're sending good data to those retailers. And so with those buyers at those retailers, they look at you and they think, hey, this vendor is an A+ vendor. When we have a need, we're going to turn to them first. Part of the way that we're able to do that is because we know the requirements and perspectives of these retailers so well. There are a lot of complex pieces that come when it comes to even just thinking of it in that EDI bucket for a second. There's different document requirements, there's different testing scenarios, there's even different preferences for how those retailers want to connect with you. The benefit of SPS is that we know these retailers inside and out. We have long-term proven track records and relationships with them. And so we can remove the complexity out of that. The other piece of this is obviously you have your own unique business processes, and you need to be able to work in the workflow that you have set up, recognizing that as you connect and add different trading partners, they add requirements to you that then have to interact with how you work as an organization. What are other automations do you have built in? Are you working with the WMS, right? Are you working with shipping integrations? We pride ourselves in being able to come alongside you and match the automation that you need with your unique business processes to eliminate both the complexity in terms of how you connect with those trading partners, but also to help streamline your own workflow. At a very high level, at the end of the day, there's really 7 irreducible components to completing, if you look at EDI specifically, managing those EDI connections with trading partners. These 7 buckets, and we won't go into all of them, right? It's a technology, there's the trading partner expertise we just looked at, there's design and configuration, testing, launch, ongoing support. At the end of the day, you have to check all 7 of these boxes in order to do EDI, to be compliant with those retailers, to have data coming in so that you can interact with it and you can send, whether that's ASN shipping, advanced shipping notices, invoices, et cetera, back. If you're failing in any of these 7, you aren't able to do compliant EDI connections with your trading partners. And this is where SPS, again, really differentiates itself in the space as a full service EDI provider. What we found is that most managed service providers are only providing a portion of the 7 key building blocks that you have to check. It might be a technology, it might be some limited ongoing resource access, and a certain level of design and configuration. But the other components of this end up falling to someone in your team who has to become the in-house EDI expert. Most of the time, that's not someone who typically does EDI all day long. And so it's outside of their core competency of what you hire them to do. And that's really where SPS shines as a full service provider. We're able to come alongside you as the customer and allow you to operate in the way that you want to with your business so that you can drive revenue, recognizing that for most of our customers, EDI is not a core competency of what they want to do. This is not their fastball. They don't want it to become their fastball. There's no one raising their hand at your company saying, I want to become the expert in EDI. And because of that, a full service provider that's going to check off all 7 of these essential boxes to accomplish EDI is really the best solution for those customers. The reason that we're able to deliver on all of this is because we are the world's retail network. One of the key differentiators for SPS and how we go to market is that we pride ourselves on leveraging pre-built connections. So when we talk about having 90,000 trading partners and customers in network, that's a really important number because we're reusing those connection points across all of the vendors who leverage it. So when you think of a company like Walmart, there's over 1,000 vendors that SPS connects to Walmart, and all of those vendors are leveraging the same connection into Walmart. So in this past year, when Walmart decides they want to add the ASN as a requirement for EDI customers, that's something that SPS builds out to one time to Walmart, rolls into that single connection, and then pushes out as an update immediately to all of those vendors at once. Most of the competition is building this out in a point-to-point method that's highly customized, which means every tweak or switch and change that's made on behalf of a retailer gets felt differently across every customer. And so it means there's less scalability and there's more vulnerability for you as a customer. We also have over 1,000 3PLs that are pre-built out in our network. This gives you the opportunity as a customer to automate how you are exchanging that warehouse data with the 3PL that you're working with. It's again, a huge way of smoothing out that order to cash process and just making sure you have an exchange of good data back and forth from that warehouse who's working on your behalf and able to send those compliant ASNs out to your retailers. Again, that retail network is something that really is a game changer for SPS customers because of the way it even reduces lead time. The ability to use those pre-built connections means you can get connected to a new EDI trading partner or a new connection like Shopify in as little as 3 to 5 business days. Again, leveraging a pre-built connection that already exists. All of that to say, when we talk about being full service, it is leveraging best-in-class technology and tools, some of which we'll talk about a little bit more. But I think the piece that's really important is to recognize it's the people and expertise that are a part of SPS that really allow us to deliver this full service promise. We have over 1,700 employees that insulate you from the requirements of those order to cash manual processes, right? Those 1,700 employees are what allow us to deliver on that full service promise. Within that headcount, over 800 of them are customer success oriented employees. That's almost 2 to 3 times the headcount of our nearest competitor in the space. And so when we talk about a 24/7/365 customer service and support, it's something that we back up with resources and people at your disposal. And so you're not languishing in a customer support queue. You're being routed to work with people that are not just experts in EDI and the trading partners you work with. If you're automating into Sage, they're also experts in that Sage space. It's the people and expertise, I think, that really set us apart from others in the space. Now, when we think about how you automate that order to cash process into your Sage system, most of the time that's done through a point-to-point method, right? Where each trading partner is being connected in a custom way into that Sage system. And so there's a significant layer of complexity that exists in how you are connected to those trading partners, and that complexity is pulled all the way into your system of record. It sits there within Sage 100, and there's an added degree of complexity that you're not insulated from. What SPS prides itself on is, again, doing this in such a way that we are using and leveraging pre-built connections and insulating you from all of that complexity in your system. I think the other piece that's really helpful to pull out and point out is that SPS offers you the opportunity not just to automate how you're receiving purchase orders and sending back shipping notification and invoices. We also give you the opportunity to leverage our services in the same way that major retailers do. The Targets and the Walmarts and the Williams-Sonomas of the world demand EDI compliance from their vendor community because it helps them to smooth out how they manage their order to cash process, right? They can drive EDI compliance in the 850s, the purchase orders they're sending out. And they can also know that all of the invoices that are coming back in is coming back in EDI. So they have an auditable trail that pulls all the way back into their system of record. We actually offer that same service to a customer of any size. And so in the way that most are typically thinking for an opportunity to automate into Sage 100, it usually involves those brick and mortar retailers. Maybe it's an e-commerce or a marketplace setup. They're looking to automate how they interact with their customers. Again, purchase orders in, ASNs, invoices out, all the way into their Sage 100 system. There's also a real opportunity to really leverage greater value from your Sage system by actually working with your supplier and vendor community. And this is where you have the opportunity to drive the same kind of EDI compliance and vendor compliance that the larger retailers do. And that's where you start to see really increased levels of automation and real value out of how you leverage that system, because you're able to now have both sides of your business, the sell side with the retailers you work with, your customers, and your buy side, your own vendors of record, all pulled into that Sage 100 system or the Sage system that you're leveraging. I know that I keep speaking to Sage 100. We offer this integration with Sage 100, 500, and X3. It's a really important thing to call out and recognize. The other thing that's significant is that the software that we leverage to accomplish this, called MapDoc, is actually something that is built natively within Sage 100. And that's a significant peace of mind for you because it means you can truly work out of your Sage system as a single source of truth. It's not a generic bolt-on adapter that's used across a bunch of different ERPs, right? This is MapDoc software, something owned by SPS. So all parts of this in the relationship, SPS handles, from the trading partner connectivity, the networking piece of it, those trading partner requirements, as well as the actual integration software that lives within your Sage system. because it is a natively embedded solution and it is the Sage recommended and certified solution, it allows you to have the peace of mind of knowing this is the software that Sage recommends, and it also sits natively within our Sage system so that your end user isn't having to jump in and out of Sage for something that's partially integrated but not a true native embedded integration. So it's a major point of value that really helps to just allow you to have the peace of mind of knowing that the people that are leveraging and using Sage 100 in the day-to-day are able to continue doing that in a way that's in the system they understand. The other thing that I think is really helpful to call out is that when we talk about the tools that are at your fingertips to accomplish this, we also have an optimization team that is available. They can be leveraged by your team at any point. So if you get set up with this automation and integration and you have turnover, you add someone new to the process or someone leaves your company and someone new comes in at no extra cost, part of the full service that we provide is you can leverage that optimization team to come alongside your team and ensure that you're doing everything. You're leveraging all the capabilities of that integration into your system. Sometimes that's just as simple as you've set up a new integration, you've learned how to do it, right? But you recognize 9-12 months down the road, the person at your company that's been doing that and working on the day-to-day with that order to cash process now has a higher degree of comfort with what they're now doing. And so there's an opportunity to sit back down with the optimization team and just review and make sure, hey, am I still leveraging everything this can do? Or was it, hey, the first time I learned, I kind of caught 70% of what it did, and there's a few pieces that are still left on the table. Again, that's a great opportunity for you and your teams to really leverage everything you're purchasing with automation. The other component I think is really important is really to ask that question of, okay, what does it look like to actually implement this? Well, because we offer full service, we really are priding ourselves on being with you every step of the way. It's something that we take on and shoulder on your behalf. It's not just the EDI networking component of it, but actually the entire setup and integration of that process into your Sage system is something that our implementation team walks you through. You have a dedicated project manager, and the consultants that are working on it are Sage specific. Sage is the system they know. Sage is the system that they're working on week in and week out. It allows you to know that when you set up that initial call and they're walking through what your specific business processes are, ultimately, as it comes to the setup, the testing, the go live, all the components that go into that, it's something that our implementation team is owning on your behalf. Always making sure that we're walking side by side with you to make sure that we're matching this integration to what your business processes are. But a major differentiator there is the significant amount of work that is not on the shoulder of your team, because you're not just buying something that covers part of the process with the last leg or last mile of that integration left to your team or left to your partner to complete. It's something that SPS does. It's fixed and known pricing when you sign up with us. You know exactly what it's going to cost to do that integration, and then our implementation team owns all of that work on your behalf. Again, SPS prides itself on being that full service provider for you. We check all 7 of those essential boxes that allow us to deliver on not just EDI compliance, but also a best-in-class natively embedded integration into your Sage system. It really is something that distinguishes us from those in the field. And the reason we're able to deliver that differentiated full service support is because we have best-in-class technology. We have that SPS knowledge of the trading partners that exist because of our network, and we have the people and process to deliver on it. Again, it is true multi-channel 24/7 by 365 support that you can leverage at any time. And the nice thing about that as well, whenever you raise your hand as someone who is integrated with Sage, anytime you raise your hand for that customer success or that customer support, you're working with a team of people that are Sage specific. You don't go into a generic customer support queue working with an expert who doesn't necessarily know Sage inside and out. The people that you work with at SPS on that customer success are people who live, know, and breathe Sage. It's the system that they are experts in. That's really what we have in terms of walking you through what it looks like to leverage SPS, not just as the opportunity to be your EDI supplier, but also to streamline the way that you are set up across your sales channels, whether those are e-commerce and marketplace as well, and ultimately to deliver that best-in-class Sage integration, which is why we are that Sage preferred provider for you. Again, I thank you for taking the time to spend with me today. I'm not sure that I had any questions that popped up. I don't see any in the chat box. If you have any questions right now, feel free to ask them. We can take a few moments to do that. Outside of those, again, my name is Matt Wasink and I manage the Sage channel here at SPS, so happy to work with you. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to see how we can just sit down and explore your current setup and if there's ways that we can help you to streamline and automate how you're currently working.